The Beggar, the weight of a shadow. Rajesh Malhotra didn't just own success, he wore it like a tailored suit. At 42, his world was a curated collection of achievements, a sprawling textile empire, a home that was a monument to modern architecture, and a wife, Priya, whose gentle spirit was as renowned as her beauty. To outsiders, their life was a flawless tapestry, but up close, one could see the fraying threads. Rajesh had grown to see Priya's kindness not as a virtue but as a soft, exploitable weakness in a world that rewarded strength. The morning the beggar appeared was humid and thick with the promise of a storm. An old man, skeletal and draped in a saffron rags, stood at their gate, his palm upturned. Priya, ever compassionate, immediately prepared a tray of fresh rotis and dal. As he approached the gate, Rajesh's voice, sharp as broken glass, cut through the quiet morning. Priya, what do you think you are doing? He strode out, his face a mask of disgust. We don't encourage this. These people are a curse on a productive society. They breed laziness. He turned his gaze on the old man. Get out. Earn your food instead of leeching off others. The beggar did not flinch. His eyes, ancient and unnervingly clear, locked onto Rajesh. They held no fear, only a profound, weary stillness. Your riches are your case, the old man rasped. His voice a dry whisper of rustling leaves. You see value only in what can be counted, but your days are numbered. The shadow of death is already upon you. Before this year turns, it will claim you. Rajesh laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. Threats from a starving mystic. I am terrified. He waved a dismissive hand and the security guard began to close the heavy iron gates, shutting the old man out. But his words had been like a thrown stone, and Rajesh could not shake the ripple of unease they left behind. The doctor's verdict. A few weeks later, a simple slip in the shower resulted in a minor head wound. Priya, her brow furrowed with worry, insisted on a full checkup. It's nothing, Rajesh grumbled, but he went mostly to appease her. Dr. Mehta, a man Rajesh played golf with, couldn't meet his eyes as he delivered the news. Rajesh. The scan showed something unexpected, an anomaly. He slid the images across the desk. It's an inoperable glioblastoma, aggressive. I am so sorry. You have a year, maybe less. The world dissolved into a muted hum. The beggar's prophecy crashed back into his mind, no longer a superstitious rant, but an ironclad verdict. He wasn't just a man with a tumor, he was a man who had been cursed. Fate had already passed its sentence. His discipline, his ambition, his carefully constructed life, it was all a joke. A profound nihilistic rage began to smolder within him. If his life had an expiration date, he would no longer live by the rules. He would smash the jar and devour every last cookie. A reckless abandon. The change in Rajesh was seismic. He became distant from Priya, her gentle concern, now feeling like a reminder of the life being stolen from him. He found himself staring at his secretary Kavya. She was ambitious, sharp and married, but carried a glint of dissatisfaction in her eyes that he now recognized in himself. She was a forbidden apple, and he was a man with nothing left to lose. The affair began not with a seduction, but with a shared, unspoken cynicism. Life's too short for shoulds and should nots, he told her one late evening, his hand covering hers on a stack of financial reports. Kavya didn't pull away. Her own marriage to become a quiet but intensely jealous man was a case of suffocating routine. Rajesh, with his newfound recklessness and the shadow of death hanging over him, was an intoxicating escape. Their affair was a frantic, desperate blaze. They took risks, meeting in five-star hotels and leaving a trail of careless receipts. For Rajesh, every clandestine moment was a defiant scream against the void. He was desecrating the sacred vows of his perfect life, and it felt like the only form of control he had left. Meanwhile, Priya lived a fog of confusion and pain. She smelled Kavya's perfume on his shirts, saw his growing coldness, and felt him slipping away. She attributed it to the illness, telling herself that fear was changing him, but a deeper, colder dread was taking root in her heart. She was losing her husband not just to tumor, but to another woman. The unraveling. 11 months into his death sentence, Rajesh received the call. Dr. Mehta was frantic. A filing error. A record swap. My God, Rajesh, a terrible, unforgivable mistake. Your scans are clear. You are perfectly healthy. The man with the tumor, he passed away last week. An explosion of pure, unadulterated joy ripped through Rajesh. He wasn't dying. The curse was broken. The beggar was just a madman. He had a future. He could fix things with Priya, leave the thrilling but ultimately empty affair with Kavya behind, and reclaim his life. He rushed to his office, his mind racing. He would give Kavya a generous severance, take Priya on a trip to Europe, and start fresh. He burst through the doors of his firm, a triumphant grin on his face, ready to begin his second life. Bikram was standing by Kavya's empty desk. He wasn't yelling. His face was unnervingly calm, his eyes flat and dead. In his hand, he held a printouts of hotel bookings and intimate text messages. I know, Bikram said him. His voice barely a whisper. I know everything. Before Rajesh could process the scene, Bikram lunged. The movement was fluid, practiced. The knife, a collector's item from Bikram's desk, slid between Rajesh's ribs with a sickening wet thud. As Rajesh collapsed, the sterile white of the office floor blurring into grey. His last coherent thought was not of Kavya or his empire or even his own life. It was the beggar's face, his eyes filled with an ancient knowing pity. The prophecy had been fulfilled, not by fate or a tumor, but by the simple brutal mechanism of human consequence. The wheel had turned just as the old man said it would.